the De-FUD Podcast, hosted by Chung Shu and Ashish Pokley.
Welcome to the De-FUD Podcast. Today we're joined by Guy Fletcher, CEO of Sola Security. Guy is a serial security founder who previously built and sold cybersecurity to Palo Alto Networks for $300 million in 2022. Before that, he was a security practitioner, CISO at AppsFlyer, and an information security officer in the Israeli Air Force. With Sola, he's taking a different approach, building an AI-powered, no-code security platform. The company has raised $65 million in 6 months from investors including Mike Moritz and Microsoft's M12, with 2,000 users already building custom security apps on the platform. We'll discuss his transition from CISO to founder, why he chose a platform approach over a point solution, and what Stripe for Security actually means. Guy, welcome to the show.
Thank you for hosting me. Pleasure to be here.
Cider was acquired for $300 million by Palo Alto in less than 2 years. That is an unusually fast and strong outcome, and you solved a real problem in CI/CD security. With Sola, you're taking a different approach and building a platform. What inspired you to start as a platform versus a point solution?
I think, first of all, you need to try something new every time. So you did the point solution, now we know, but I think that now the opportunity with the AI revolution gave us the ability to think something much bigger than just another point solution, just like, again, next gen of something very specific. But to try fundamentally change the entire industry, you need to think something different. You need to think something broad that, take the foundations of how we think about security solution and rethink about them and rethink about what is the right way. Because again, from day one, we look and took inspiration from companies outside of the cybersecurity industry. And there are amazing security companies in our industry, but we look on companies such as Stripe, Monday, Canva, Notion, so Figma, how they change the way that you think about what you can do in their domain. So that's the approach that we looked at, and then now try to bring it into the cybersecurity industry.
Very cool. I think you're right. Sometimes these opportunities are not very common where you can create a platform specifically in a stagnant space. It's very hard to recreate a new platform. But when things are fluxed, things are in motion, such as with AI and its impact on how security people work and do their job, there's clearly an opportunity to go wide. And who better to do that? Somebody who's lived the land of security and built a company around it. So kudos for starting that approach. I also hear a lot about the virality of the platform, amazing numbers and adoption and everything. So I'm generally curious about the kind of applications people are building on your platform. Are there specific sectors of use cases that people are gravitating towards? What has been your evolution since you launched the platform?
Yeah. So first of all, for the number, we crossed 5,000 workspaces and users, and we see thousands of apps that are being created and questions are being generated. In my perspective, the most interesting part in what we're building with Sola is to see the actual intent of people. We see the raw question of what people have in mind and want to solve. But if you think about it, because we don't have any boundaries, we're not bound to a specific domain. We're not like CSPM solution that we have ChatGPT like on top of it, or AI for SOC that are tackling, incidents and so on. We have everything. So we see all types of domains, from identity to cloud posture to SaaS to even people that are connected their lovable apps and try to do posture on that. All the way, by the way, we had people, GRC, of course, general risk stuff, all the way that people created awareness app with Sola, which is amazing for us. That's the amazing part. That's the start of the movement, that people understand that they can do different types of things in a single place. And the barriers of you need a solution for that, that, and that are being start to crack down a little bit. We still have a long way to go, but people start to understand the concept of from a single place to ask multiple types of scenarios and questions.
Fascinating. So, as you look at the data set of the type of questions people are asking, do you have a sense of are they trying to solve last mile security problems based on the stack that they already have that they're not happy with? So, they're trying to go do things by hand. What's the mindset that's evolving? Like, given this is a brand new opportunity for people, where are they gravitating?
So we see people creating areas that they don't have any solution in it. So it's not like the last mile, it's like the first mile. It's they don't have anything on that area, so they try to build something on top of that. For example, a lot in the cloud posture, a lot in the SaaS security, a lot in the identity. That's one thing. We see a lot of areas of, you know, overarching risk. For example, people that are building, questions such as, give me the overall risk score for my entire environment. Okay, which is one of the strongest capabilities that we have, that we can look on many environments, not necessarily only cloud environment, but different types of systems and environment, and then give you overall risk. That's one thing. And yes, and in some cases, they are working and build the last mile. That help me. Yeah, I have a solution for X and Y. Give me what are the top prioritization that I need to focus on while connecting to a specific security solution that we also can connect to and build on top of them. So we see a variety of, parts of the run between the first mile all the way to the last mile. That's how we build the solution, by not bringing a solution and then bringing AI, but bringing AI and then you can build what you want into which area of the journey you are. This is why we see companies from small startups, with 15 people, 20 people that they need. For example, they have tomorrow an ISO audit and they need to show user review, or they need to check something about the configuration of their account for customers. Very easy. All the way to security teams, very big security teams, not enterprise grade security teams, but all the way to a few thousands of employees in the company. Um, you know, Building some very interesting overlay overview of what they have. For example, one of the interesting use cases people start using us is around offboarding and onboarding users. Very boring task. A lot of people leveraging us for very boring stuff, the day-to-day stuff that people forgot that the most of the day-to-day of security team is very boring, is to do very repetitive tasks to make sure that they are happening, hygiene and so on.
Yeah, very cool, very cool. Yeah, I think now I get a better sense of where the gravity you're seeing, at least initially. You brought up plenty of good examples around broad risk, broad compliance aspects, day-to-day onboarding. Didn't hear much about response side or incident response or detection specifically. It's really about those utilities, small utilities that are annoying sometimes, either because uh, people have broken processes or the team size is so small that they can't afford to put a big process in it. This is amazing.
Mhm.
I think you're absolutely right. Even from our practitioner days, I've been in like large security teams and small security teams, and it really changes the dynamic in terms of how people do their job, you know. And having a platform where you can have quick wins, which add up really well to the bottom line of a security team's goal, is helpful there. Amazing.
Yeah, think again, going back to the practitioner, how many times you just needed to do some quick wins, something simple.
Mm,
Just need to check this and just need to check that configuration. But the only option for you to do it is to bring something very big. Can take time. Until you bring it, you will have like 30 other issues that you already need to take care of. And that's
It's
That's
sad
what is
actually. Yeah.
missing.
I often find even basic questions sometimes require logging into three different tools and using your mind to figure out what the answer is.
Mm-hmm.
With a
Mm-hmm.
Solar-like approach, when you have a platform connected to various pieces already, it becomes a single interface to ask a simple question.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no need to actually ask the permission of an SRE to, hey, tell me what's going on here, or the dev to tell me what's going on there. It's making the life of the security guy much easier by not having to knock on doors and
Mm-hmm.
or three different tools. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So here's a hot take. No code security almost sounds like an oxymoron, because we hear all the time that security is high stakes, full of edge cases, and deeply dependent on company specific context. So how does a platform really help in that situation?
The edge cases, again, going back to the fundamentals, at the end of the day, AWS is AWS. Let's take AWS or Salesforce or GitHub or whatever. It's let's say it's the same for everyone. You leveraging specific services, specific, but the concept is the same. So once we retrieve the configuration, the metadata, from our perspective, how we create the data and how we create the graphs and everything, it doesn't really matter the edge cases. We know how to handle the edge cases. We know how to handle the graph, the question on the graph, and answer, multiple questions. By the way, edge cases, um, most of our day-to-day of security practitioners are not the edge cases. Like what we spoke just now. Most of our day-to-day, 99.9% of our day-to-day is, like I said, boring task. Show me all let's go back. Show me all firewalls that I have, all the ALB that I have, and what permission that I have. And now let's reduce the overly permissive ALB that I have and instances. By the way, if you go, you can do the test by yourself. Ask any security practitioner. Ask the practitioner to pick any solution that they are using. And the question, ask them, how much do you leverage from each solution? Even more accurate question, ask the practitioner, how much do you need from each solution that you have? Everyone, I can guarantee to you, everyone will say to you that they don't need everything. They need very, very specific part of the solution. But we got used to the fact that, we need to get a very big solution that do a lot of stuff, a lot of shiny stuff, while, we just need something specific. And again, going back to our inspiration, think about Stripe, think about Monday, think about Canva, and those solutions that change the concept. Before Stripe, when you thought about bringing payment to your environment, was crazy, big, massive, hundreds of working hours. Stripe came to the world and said, with a simple API, you don't need to overwork. Monday, you just want to start. Project management system were before Monday. Very big, very massive PMOs, build huge project. And Monday came to the world and said, okay, great. You can have them, but in most cases, you just want to start with something simple, with a table, put a task, owner, status, and due date. That's it. A little bit more advanced than a spreadsheet. This is the same thing for cyber. And I believe now it's the time to make the change and to rethink about how we are doing and how we are solving security challenges.
It's super, super interesting. Also help us draw the line between the SOAR era, companies like Times, Torque, and others, and what you are calling AI native or agentic workflows. Where does determinism matter, and where can you trust probabilistic AI steps?
Um, First of all, Times, Talk, and everyone, amazing companies. But again, they are focusing on taking an outcome from a product, from a security solution, and then help you to shift or to ship it to the right direction, again, based on deterministic flow that you decide. Okay? Sola is coming say, first of all, you can build from the question all the way to the workflow, whatever you need. The alerts, a full-blown solution. We see, by the way, we see companies that are building full-blown solution inside the product, not only the workflow, not only the question, but full-blown. And the use of agentic workflow can help you to understand that not every time that, for example, I see a specific issue, it's the same way to solve it, you know, because again, going back to edge cases, going to different aspect, the leverage that you have in each step is an agent. You can rethink about what will be the best way to do it, what will be the best next step to do it, and so on. For example, we see a lot of companies created a research workflow. Every morning we see a workflow that every morning go to different website, check for the latest vulnerabilities, go inside, check if those vulnerabilities exist in my environment, send me a report, then open tickets, again, based every time. And also they can decide what to prioritize first, and every time to decide which ticket they need to send to where. That again, I think that's the most interesting thing that we see, that at the end, solutions such as Solar are evolving to each and adopt to each and every customer. It's not the same. You and I can have Solar day one, blank Solar, blank workspace. Day two, your Solar and my Solar will be completely different, even if we are using the same technology stack, AWS, Google, GitHub, and I don't know, Salesforce. Solar will decide for both of us different approaches and can evolve differently.
Yeah, super fascinating. I think what I'm now understanding better as part of this conversation is that, when you have established large teams, large processes, known steps, people already have solved them with existing monolithic tools, or when it was not solvable by monolithic tools, people use Times and Torques. But there is specifically a sector of customers where, they may not have those tools in the place and they're still in their early days and they're trying to do the best thing they can with the resources that they have. Their ability to move fast on their security goals by doing ad hoc tasks and combining them into workflows becomes a real advantage with Solar. So they get really gravitated towards, hey, I don't need to buy a fancy tool. I don't need 10 engineers to build an end-to-end system. I really care about some basic things. Let me try to hook them up in an agentic
Mm-hmm.
workflow.
Mm-hmm.
So people are finding productivity boost, it seems, by not having to go through procurement cycles for three tools, tell devs to build some connectors and what have you. It's just there for them to go start to play. That's the
Mm-hmm.
impression I'm getting, and there's
Mm-hmm.
clearly a market for that. I agree
Mm-hmm.
with the need there.
By the way, also we see a lot even in the area that you already have tools. First of all, even if you have tools, you still have a lot of areas that you haven't solved. A lot of
Absolutely, that's the last mile. Essentially, people still have
Again,
to travel there.
also the areas that you don't solve, cross-platform, cross issues, cross questions that you have. Uh, and also, I believe that 2026, 2027, we see more and more CEOs and CFOs asking asking security team to see how they are becoming more efficient with the tools that they are bringing and how they are reducing some of them from cost perspective, um, like happening in every other team in the company. Security cannot stay an isolated island that is still working in a siloed solution and so on. For example, I've again maybe only the big ones, but I'm not familiar with any engineering team that is not working with some sort of Copilot, Cursor, Windsurf, or something like that in their day-to-day, and they're adopting more and more. It's unacceptable, by the way, today to be in a team, an engineering team, without such tool supporting and building a lot of the code today. And it's going to grow. And the same thing is going to be, and it's happening in marketing, it's happening in sales, it's happening in finance, and it's happening in legal, and it will happen also in security.
Yeah, people's performance reviewers are now tied to their token consumption. Right. No, fascinating. I think you're definitely catching a wave here, and it's a bit of an anti-pattern, but the moment for these anti-patterns exists when long tail revolutions are happening, which is AI right now. Um, Switching gears a little bit, Guy. I mean, you've been a practitioner yourself. You're building this great product. You're seeing customer interactions. Any anecdotal stories around where you have actually found something to be really fascinating, and then the customer themselves have like come back and said, "Oh my God, I would not have imagined this to be possible." So something burning like that would be great for this discussion.
uh, we see it many times that how with some of the customers we also have, although we are PLG and we have thousands of customers, with several customers, around 50, 60 customers, we also have direct Slack channel, as we want to get engagement all the time, and to understand with them what is working and what is not working and so on. But what we see cross those discussion is that once they are connecting the first data source and they see the value, they're like, okay, I'm going to connect more and more data source. So you see like the first, they see the system, interesting, connect the first data source. It can take like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Start playing with the system, start experiencing the what the system can do, and then immediately you can see many other data sources are being connected because they realize how the system, by the way, this is a word that we're hearing a lot, empowers them. You know? At the end of the day, the system remove a lot of barriers that security team have today. Not all security practitioners have technical capabilities to build stuff or to be very technical, go into very technical, or to create something that fit to what they want to build. And now it's for everyone. Again, going into more new companies, think about Lovable. Think about that. Just announced today more than $300 million round B, which is crazy. But what they're making other people think or feel is the empowerment. And the fact that Sola now going to go and provide to many security practitioners the ability to create what they want, that's the most fascinating thing that we see and experiencing. And the stories that we are seeing is that.
Very cool.
I want to double click on what you just said. The positioning for Sola is very unique. You look very self-serve. And you also just mentioned that you have like 50 Slack Connect channels with some customers, so you can communicate more closely with them. Across AI startups and also in security, lots of companies end up leaning on forward deployed engineers or heavy onboarding because the team struggle to implement AI and to trust it. So you seem to be going the opposite direction. Why and how are you achieving this fantastic vision of self-serve AI?
It's not easy. It's not easy. This is why we have those 50 interaction to have a better understanding what to do and what help our customer move faster. How the even The system in PLG, yeah, first of all, it's for the first time in cyber, so we don't have any reference for successful or non-successful solution. So we have a lot of A/B testing that we need to do. Um, and this is very similar. Mike Moritz, our investor, which invested also the first investor for Stripe, told us how they worked in the first 100 customers. They sit and deploy with the first one. They were also PLG, going to small companies, but they needed to learn from the first customer what is working and what is not working. This is why we are doing that. But as the more that we grow, the more the system evolve, we see more and more companies are doing completely self-service. And they could do it because what we learned from the companies that we sit with them, talk with them, listen to what they're saying, from, when you have, it started from, you have a long onboarding process. Okay, too many questions. So reduce the numbers of questions all the way to create integration that for the first integration that I can understand the value, which will be integrationless. I don't need to integrate to anything. So find some places that I can just, for example, put domain and start building an app around my domain without the need to integrate to anything, and then get a very fast value so I can be easy for me to jump to the next integration to connect more and more and so on. So this is how we are evolving and experiencing, but the day to day is always like on the edge, almost on the edge of the B2C, of moving fast, like you are a B2C company, test a lot of changes, small changes, and see what is working and how people reacted. Again, because we have more than 5,000 workspaces, and all the time we are testing and seeing what is working, what is not working, deploying, and then moving forward.
Do you think you will not need for deploying engineers?
Probably once we will grow, again, the opportunity, if our ICP now, it's in, you can say, in the larger SMB to the smaller mid-market, we will grow on both directions. Of course, the smaller, you will not need, of course, the onboarding engineer. But once we will go up, of course, there will need to be some onboarding engineer that will assist them. Uh, but it's a growth process that once we will grow from where we are today from an ICP perspective.
Yeah, very unique right now. I think given the motion, given the industry, um, I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on the monetization strategy as you grow, go from premium to premium with no precedence in in cyber easy. So any early thoughts on how you might see this evolve?
So we published a week ago our pricing and packaging. We have a lot of complexities, by the way, in contrary to our peers in other industries such as Lovable, Cursor, which are solely on token usage, basically. It's very easy to calculate, very easy to understand, very easy to build the pricing and packaging for that. While when you think about Sola and the area that we have multiple dimensions that are not easy, or we are trying to break and see what need to be done. For example, data. We collect data, which is completely not the same as Lovable, Cursor. They don't have any data that they need to collect. They code or they build something and that's it. So we have data sources, we have amount of users, and so on. And also, yes, we also have the token that we need to use and leverage as part of what we are providing. So we have multiple dimensions. We try to navigate it in it. Again, we keep on learning, but we have, you can say, two key principles in how we build the pricing and packaging. First of all, we try to keep it as simple as possible. You understand what you're paying, you understand what you're getting, and you understand why you need to move to a different tier. Okay? By the way, I believe that as we evolve, you will be able to do add-ons or to increase. For example, you just need more tokens, but you don't need more data sources or more data to collect. You just need more tokens to question. And so we will allow you that without the need to jump into a different package. So first of all, like I said, keep it simple. Second, keep it affordable. That's where we started. That's like one of biggest flags that we are carrying. The fact that you can do security and keep it affordable. You don't need to pay six-figure deal in order for you to know just what S3 buckets are open to the world. You don't need. It's a simple question. You don't need to pay. I always go back for a story that I had in my early days at Upswire as a CISO. Upswire had a very big AWS environment, one of the biggest in EMEA region, by the way. And we talked about bringing CSPM. Back then in 2018, CSPM was very, very, very early stage, very the beginning. And me and the DevOps team look for a solution that will help us. And we found something. I also remember the name FredStack that later got acquired by a company and so on. And they had a model for AWS CSPM, very simple model that just give you like 30 configurations that you needed, not hundreds or more than hundreds of configurations, just 20, 30 configurations that you needed on AWS. And again, for our big environment, I remember it cost $5,000. That's it for a year. Show me today a CSPM that you can buy for big environment for $5,000 to give you some basic configurations for you to take care of. And it's not only in CSPM, it's also in ASPM, it's also in SSPM, it's also in any SPM that you can can think of. And it's going back to what we talked about, that at the end of the day, you don't need the entire solution. You just need a certain part of it to do the day-to-day or most of your day-to-day. And connected to the pricing, this is how we believe it should be. Affordable. If you want to consume more, you want to connect more, yeah, you can grow, but keep it, insane. And like I said, CEOs and CFO will start to demand it as well.
I love this. You're disrupting the whole space.
This
is the classic.
That's what we are for. Yeah.
This is the classic Clayton Christensen disruption playbook.
Mm-hmm.
So this is wonderful. I learned so much in our conversation. Before we wrap up, just one final question. What security resources do you recommend for our audience?
In what aspect? Security resources?
Like favorite, maybe it's like newsletters or different sources that you.
It really, first of all, depends on what is your favorite stuff. But I see I subscribe for almost everyone. I also a lot tend to subscribe also to VCs to see other way of thinking. Maybe I'm not a CISO anymore, and I need to look on. But I really recommend security team also to subscribe to a newsletter outside of the security domain. It's giving a lot of perspective how people think and do stuff outside. And it's helped you to better understand and to shape, first of all, to understand where the other teams are going, where the marketing team is going, where the engineering team are going, and so on. And it's super important for security team because they basically touch every team in the company. So the more they will understand how other people think and what they are doing, and it will be better. So this is like the recommendation that I have for resources.
Any favorite newsletters that we can link?
I really like A16Z newsletter. They really rebrand themselves as a media agency in some area, which is very interesting. I don't want to miss the name. TPN, I think.
TBPN? Yeah.
TBPPN. I forgot there is not the. So that's also very great. I follow on X. But again, also in X, there are plenty of people to follow and to see. I have a long list.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today, Guy. We've had huge pleasure and learned so much from our conversation. And this is a wrap for our podcast. Thank you, everyone.